All right, so we are here at the World Summit first meeting and kind of self-introduction. So I'm just going to pass the mic around here. So.
All right, I'm from the States.
Yeah, just keep talking. I'm just checking. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm from the States, Nevada.
Go right up to your mouth, and the best way to talk to it is like this, sideways. If you talk right into it, then it gets all
the pop. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, the pop. Okay.
Just like talking over the top of it. Like
all right.
Just like
All right.
Closer. Yeah, closer is better.
Closer. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm from America, States, West Coast, Nevada. Quick story is I pretty much got sick of the corporate life. I left my job and just traveling for a short period of time, trying to sort out what I'm gonna do next. Pretty much discovering the community. I lost my motivation in terms of pretty much focusing on family, but since it doesn't seem like the most viable way to do right now, so that's why I'm traveling, just trying to sort out what's next for me.
Yeah. So your family's pretty conservative, right? So it's
very conservative, yeah.
Yeah.
The background is
just ask questions and so we can really
the background is I come from an Asian family. Both parents are still together, which actually kind of makes it even more difficult because they're wanting me to be in a relationship right now. Having kids, not happening for obvious reasons. They don't know that. But in terms of a background story is pretty interesting. I actually just grew up with my mom because my dad actually left the Philippines to work, and so it's not really anything of the sort of just splitting up or anything. It's just like growing up with my mom around. But yeah. So I guess in terms of what is it? The influence, it's more on the female side of the family. Like it's kind of strange because I don't feel I'm that close to my dad because he was gone for some time, like since I was 4, and I didn't really get to know him till I was like into my mid-teens. So yeah, no, it's pretty tough. Yeah.
I got a question. So so here in Asia,
yeah,
and when you ask a question, try to ask as loud as possible towards the mic. It'll pick it up if you do it.
Okay.
So like a lot of guys come to Asia thinking they're gonna find easily the good wife, and the Western women are no good. But back here, you're gonna find the perfect wife. Everything's gonna be fine, and so that's what a lot of guys think when they come here, right? So they may be like, even MGTOW guys, they think, like at the last convention, a lot of guys thought that. And like you here, you speak the language, you have access to the women like crazy. Mm-hmm. You also have an American passport, which they want.
Yes.
And then you would be the guy who would, if this was so great, you'd be like all over it, right? Why not?
Oh, I don't know. Just the whole situation is pretty like screwed up, as I think we all know. The thing is, maybe if you were to do it in that way, you would have to stay in Asia or just keep her here, because I think it would be a very bad thing to expose her to that sort of environment, because they would switch immediately. Like they will see how the culture is set up, and yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just like subconscious to them even, yeah.
Like, so you don't want to stay here is the main thing.
No,
if you were going to stay in Philippines, you probably would get married, maybe.
Possibly, but actually the laws in the Philippines I've heard are changing as well. Like they're starting to change like the divorce laws. Mm-hmm. It's not, it was frowned a long time ago. Like divorce is not a thing because it's a heavily Catholic.
It's illegal, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, like annulment, and it costs a lot of money, and it sets like a really bad name for both the guy and the woman. Yeah, it's not a good thing to get divorced at all because the family unit is very close. Yeah. Yeah, that's it for me, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Hello guys, my name is Seiji. I'm from Japan, and what should I tell about myself? Well, when I was a kid, I used to because of my dad's job, I travel around a lot. First, I was in, like, for instance, South Africa, and then came back to Japan, and then went to New York, and then to this Caribbean island, Trinidad and Tobago, which was pretty good, and then came back to Japan and all those things. So that's why I have these kind of this. I'm not sure if you ever heard Japanese speak English, but they don't speak like me usually. So that's basically how I speak. And the other thing is, I don't think I really have culture. Although I did grow up with my dad and my mom. I have a sister also. She's in Connecticut right now, married to an American, and so I probably have Japanese influence, but. Like the schools I went to were all local schools, and in that sense I don't really have sort of like a fixed identity, I guess. Maybe that sort of led to all these what I became, I guess, but that's basically how I grew up, and I'm currently working in as you were previously working at a corporation, at technical, right? But me too.
Right into it.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. I recently came back from São Paulo. I was working there, and I was positioned to this place, which is a continuation of what I was doing in São Paulo, but it's a very disappointing place. From my point of view. So I'm not really. The work is not really doing well, and I'm trying to change it. And then the reason I got hooked on to this is, you have these really interaction with females, and it's really giving me a lot of pain. So I guess what I want is, I'm sure that these interaction would continue and would repeat itself. But what I'm trying to gain from all this is to minimize or maybe control how you feel. I mean you can't help feeling that, but the caring of that, the follow-up of that, I think I could do better, because right now I'm not really doing that really good on that part. So that's basically what I would try, what I'm trying to
What do you want? Like, do you want a relationship, or
Relationship I think is good. Yeah, for sure. Yes, but when it goes bad, you really go down. Or for me, I'm sure as for all of you, but when you go there, it's everything pretty much sucks, and but I'm sure you can't avoid that, but you want to keep that, you want to control that, I think. You can't help going to that position, but there are better ways to rise up or go to the norm or something, and that's basically what I think I need right now. So I'm not sure. I'm sure that not everything is going to be answered in just a single these kind of setting alone. I think you need to do a lot of things, but I'm just hoping that it helps to give me some sort of a direction or a hint to go about. Oh, by the way, I've never been married. I'm in my late 40s, and I guess that's it. I'm not in a relationship right now, but I did get I'm in a really this girl I have a problem with is and I'm in I'm trying to get, and I'm in this pain, so I'm trying to get away but move on, I guess. effectively as possible. So that's my story.
Where is she now, the girl?
Oh, I met her in Sao Paulo, but she's in Japan actually. Not because of me, but because of the work that she does. So, if she was in Sao Paulo, it might be easier. But she's still she's very close to me right now as a location. Physically, yes. So that kind of adds up, I guess. Yeah. And the way we interact, I don't really like the way we kind of interact now.
The dynamic.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. So trying to more manage it, I guess, better. So that's my goal here, I guess. Yeah. Thanks. Right.
Hi. I have a background. It's a former Yugoslav country. So I was born in Australia, and in my younger age, when I was 6.5, we went to Macedonia. So there was back and forth, and I didn't particularly like the way my mum was treating my father. And I think he tried to get away because he ended up in Australia eventually, and I was very close to him. And anyway, so he died, and I was stuck with my brother and my mum, who I've just recently discovered that both of them are narcissists, but that's not particularly the reason why I'm here. There are a few reasons, but I'm trying to sort of basically, I have been with a few women in my life, and kind of like, just trying to study them on my own terms doesn't really help. You've got to talk to people. But what's the reason why I'm here is basically just last year, 2018, I've been actually ostracized by the most important people in my life, which is, a guy that ended up being a best friend of mine. And I think it's because of his insecurities. He just ended up sort of ditching me, and I thought it was quite irrational. And then my mum and my brother ostracized me and betrayed me and stole from me. And also that led me to the search for why this happened because an ex-partner of mine recently that I was seeing, she was a full-blown narcissist, and a lot of the traits that I saw in her I could see in my mum and my brother. But then studying about narcissism helped me sort of understand, first of all, what's happening to the women as time goes by. I think the government supports them a lot, and it's not only because of marriages and whatever, but I'm talking in terms of women and men are becoming more and more narcissistic. And if you research narcissism, it just goes really deep. And I'm seeing this. That's kind of opened up my world, and just kind of made me realize that, holy shit, this is not going in a good direction, because narcissists don't really give a shit about what you think or feel. But I'm seeing these traits more and more in women as sort of time goes by and throughout the decades, and I don't particularly like it. I don't like the way the government, just men being mistreated from all directions, and I feel that there's not so much that men should man up, but men should be educated and be able to sort of find the right way to do things according to their I guess nature as well. I don't want anyone harming anybody or whatever, everyone should be helping everybody, even with women. But at the same time, if you know what women are about, and it's a recent thing that I'm learning, when you find out what they're about, you just kind of go, holy shit, I don't see much of a future of some sort of a sort of a communion, or if you like, so basically I just through my research, I think people should, like men, should be educated, you know, to be able to protect themselves, and I think everyone's got a story, and in these kind of situations, I think everyone's got a little gem to share, and if you get something out of it, you know, like hopefully that'll spread out, and you know, apart from making you a better person, also be able to protect yourself. And I think that's why I'm here.
Hi, I'm from the United States, specifically New York City, and I mean, I can also speak having had a run-in with narcissistic abuse. My ex-wife was narcissistic, and we have been divorced for a little bit over a year, I think, and I left her 2 years ago, so I'm experienced dealing with that kind of thing. There definitely has been a huge increase in cluster B, like psychosis or different mental illnesses. It's not just narcissistic abuse. At least in the United States, there's been an increase throughout the country of just mental illness. So we definitely do have to watch out for narcissists. That's a real thing.
That story about the seizure, like that, you should say that one if you're comfortable with it.
Oh, you want me to go?
Just let them know, like, because people think like, oh, what does this mean, like, because there's this kind of Me Too thing where everybody's like the victim, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we're not talking bullshit here. We're talking serious shit.
All right, we're gonna get real. So basically, I also have multiple sclerosis. I've had it since I was 12 years old, and it's almost killed me multiple times. And the first time it almost killed me, I got so bad. And I was with my ex, the narcissistic one, and it was early in the morning, and I was with her. We were sitting on the couch together, and suddenly I started having a seizure, right?
And this is your very first one.
Yeah, this is my first seizure ever. Yeah.
There's a good chance you're gonna die. It's your very first seizure, multiple sclerosis, hardcore.
Yeah.
Emergency.
Absolutely terrible situation. My health had been declining. I was like 24 or 25 at the time. And I could see out of my eyes, but I couldn't control my body or my lips. I couldn't talk. I was just shaking uncontrollably, like kind of like reclined back into the couch, just shaking, trembling. And my ex, she grabbed me, and she was trying to figure out what was going on, like, and she did say, like, are you okay, like, what's going on, but then after a while she just lost interest in me and my situation and condition. And
you say sorry, after a while, you mean
so
at that point?
Yeah, at that point. So after 30 seconds maybe tops, she lost interest, and she had to get to work, and she literally just, you know, I could see her grab her things really quick, walk out the door, lock it, and then I was still seizing, and after maybe a minute or two, I came out of it.
She left you alone to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the level of narcissism that she was, and you can expect from others. Like, you know, I'm sure she's not the only example of this.
That's good.
Yeah. So if that speaks volumes to everybody, do you want me to go into more of that, or just
that's good.
that's just so that's just good food for thought. So again, I have multiple sclerosis. I'm getting past it. I'm already past my ex. My major deal is that I love women. I love women, and but I also want to be unblackmailable. I don't want to be controlled or influenced in any way. I want to be completely in control of myself and my living situation always. And that's why I'm here. And then everything that you guys have to share, I'm interested in as well, because it's only going to help.
I'm from the States, but I've lived in Asia since 1996. And I met a woman in Singapore when I was living at the time, and it started off great, and we ended up getting married because her contract wasn't going to be renewed, and that kind of hastened the things. And I was still 29 at the time, and I never had a mentor in my life to tell me, you're a young white guy in Southeast Asia. The world is your oyster. There's always going to be another woman, And things were great for a while. We ended up moving to Hong Kong later, and we decided to have a kid, and it took about almost 3 years and 10 months before the seed finally got planted, and there was no end to the stress that she was feeling, because she was well into her 30s by that time. And she probably would have left me if we didn't end up conceiving. And there were a number of other problems as well. I was diagnosed with a low sperm count. Sometimes I had ED. And then she just said to me one time, "It's your problem and it's not important to me." And Jesus, you've never felt so emasculated, when you're a woman.
She said it's not important?
She said, "It's your problem and it's not important to me."
Fuck.
Yeah. And yeah, that fucking crushed me. I mean, our daughter's now 11, I was 40 when she was born, so I'm 51 now. And you don't realize how attached to your own kid you become, until later, and I'll walk through fire and die for my daughter, if anything. And now and my wife and I were in separate bedrooms now. We're kind of just roommates, and I described my situation. I'm like, if you remember the movie Apocalypse Now, where Colonel Kurtz is talking about being the snail on the edge of a straight razor. You can't move, but you can't stay. I either abandon them or I abandon myself, and I'm just trying to, get some perspective on whether I should abandon them, but not my daughter, or not, And again, I married the woman. She's Asian, and I can assure you, all the problems you can hear about in a marriage have happened. All the dysfunction you can think of has happened. But my parents are still together, and that's kind of what's kept me from leaving, as well. So, and the funny thing is, I've dabbled with other women on the side, and I never had any kind of performance problems with them. Go figure, And that's probably because I didn't have any kind of anxieties with them. I didn't care. I just, was getting laid and having fun, and that was that. But when you bring, and then you try to, bring those improvements home, and you're back to the same shit again, So I'm just trying to get some perspective from all of you, on your situations. So don't get married, not even to an Asian woman, And the other thing is, when you're living in her. She's Thai, and so it's her country, her culture, her language. It gives her a lot of control over things. You're more in her frame than not. So that's another thing. And again, it's contractual. A relationship to an Asian woman. You marry her family. There's a lot more expectations on you that I wasn't prepared for. And again, I didn't have a mentor, to tell me these things, before I made the decisions.
Professionally.
Yeah, I've got a job I really like. I travel a lot, I'm making decent money,
It's good people know that, you know what I mean? Like, they don't know us, right? They don't know who we are.
But this, but again, people have said I've lived a very blessed life, and looking back on it, I have. I've seen things and done things that I've really enjoyed, on my own and with her sometimes, but, anyway, I need some perspective on where to go from here. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm from England. I've been traveling for 6 years, and my story, I suppose, is okay. My story is I grew up in a nice family. It seemed a nice family. My dad turned out to be a stone cold sociopath, as it turned out, and his idea of parenting was putting us in front of these far-out movies from the 70s, the 80s, those kind of John Carpenter movies where the guy is up against all odds and it doesn't really matter whether he lives or he dies, those kind of movies. I grew up with those, watching those as his parenting, and, it gave me a kind of unusual outlook on life. I also got nurtured by my grandparents, who are very, very old traditional Irish, so I had a kind of 1930s Irish upbringing. And he put all that in the mix, and I felt like I had something to prove when I was young. I was a good national level athlete. I was very, very strong. I was physically I was strong, mentally I was very sharp, and you know, I felt naturally strong. But along the way I'd had a bicycle accident, I'd hurt myself, I'd had an operation to repair it, and it knocked all my hormones out of place. And what happened was, when I was about 18, I went from being this very strong, very dominant kind of guy, my hormones were whacked, and I didn't really get out of bed for a long period of time. And I was self-medicating with alcohol, drugs, ecstasy mainly. And it didn't do me no favors. It really messed me up. And I got into recovery age 22. And part of that recovery program, I'm 17 years clean and sober, and part of that recovery program made me commit to spiritual growth and freedom and truth and self-honesty. And the kind of consequence was, if I didn't commit to it, I would be as good as dead. And I committed to it, and it opened up avenues to me that were so beautiful and challenging. And you know, growing up on those films, I was exposed to a lot of unusual thinkers, and I studied them, and they were all about personal growth and honesty and truth at any consequence. Now, if you do that for long enough and you keep taking little steps, what I found was that I had freedom of movement. I never had a lot of money, but I always had enough to survive. I was never hungry. And you can't put the genie back in the bottle. When I discovered red pill stuff, it was truth, it worked, right? But I wasted a lot of time with women, and like I say, my hormones were out of whack. So I didn't have a lot of power from age 20 to nearly 40, nearly 20 years of not knowing anything was wrong with me. Doctors missed it. And I got it fixed a couple of years ago. And I feel like I'm making up for a lot of lost time. You know, when your hormones are out, you see the world very different. You know truth, but you can't act on it. Now, I don't feel I have anything really pressing, no problems, but what is so important to me, and the reason why I'm here, is because I wanted to meet you guys. You know, that's the main thing. That's why I wanted to be here. Because, you know, we're isolated, we're scattered. But we got a lot in common. And, you know, I haven't had to come very far. I've come from Koh Samui, where I lived for the last 2 years on a tropical island. You know, it's my dream come true. But I wanted to meet you guys and, you know, and listen. I'll share freely in a one-to-one or in a group environment. I don't share nothing on the internet. And that's what it's all about, right? I'm into freedom. I'm into brotherhood, something I never had growing up. I had a brother, but no father, right? I had some good mentors along the way. And, you know, I can't complain about life. I got problems and stuff like that, but I ain't got nothing to grumble about. And I'm having a thoroughly good time getting to know you guys, and that's what I'd like to say for now. Looking forward to get to know you better.
My name's Jose, I'm from Spain. I was married for 11 years. I was raised in a very conservative, very Catholic country and Catholic family. You were talking about the Philippines before. That was my ancestors' fault. Sorry about that. Divorce was legalized in Spain in 1975. I was born in 1974. So yeah, figure that. Anyway, after 11 years being married, one night my ex-wife called the cops because she accused me of beating her up. When they show up, I was bleeding because she beat me in my hand, and I almost spent the rest of my life in jail. I almost lost my job, and I decided I gotta get out of here. So I had to erase all the programming that my mother and my ex-wife and the whole society did on my brain, and it's been progressively better after the years. I got divorced back in 2012, so it's been 7 years right now being MGTOW, if you want to call it that way. It's just about learning. I think that the solution, as you were saying before, is education, is biology, is biochemistry. Understand what is underneath our feelings and the reason why we do what we do. Because in my opinion, that's the only way that you're not a slave to it. As you said before, you still have those feelings, but if you understand where they come from, you can, well, somehow put them in one corner and say, yeah, I understand why I'm feeling like this, but this is not what I want to do. I'm in control of my own life, or as much as you can be in control of your own life. And I'm just happy to be here, like you, to share my story, to know about the rest of you. As I talked to some of you before, one by one, I'm in the military. I will retire later this year. So my plan is to come here, live in Thailand for the rest of my life, hopefully. And yeah, find a good woman. I know I'm not going to find the perfect woman here, but I understand the rules of engagement. I understand how it works. I understand, hey, this is my life. This is what I want to do. You come along for the ride or you don't, but I'm not going to get out of my way just because I'm in love with you or whatever like that. I don't have kids. It was 11 years of hell. I mean, marriage, but we didn't have kids, so hopefully I don't have to see her again. But I understand your situation because I have many friends in the military that are in similar situations like that, and I know how it feels. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here and meet you all guys and learn and share my story.
Okay, interesting, because you know a lot of guys in his situation.
Yeah.
On the razor's edge, which do you recommend?
Get out. Okay, here's the thing, and just my humble opinion about that. You can think, I don't want my daughter to grow up knowing that, well, her parents divorced. I understand that, but don't you think that the current situation is affecting her? It is. Psychologically, it is. And if you're really interested in her well-being and in her growing up and finding her own way in life, maybe, just maybe, because you split up and she will blame you for it and you will have to lose that relationship with her. But maybe with time, one day, she will realize what was going on. It's a gamble. You don't know what is going to happen, but I think it's worth it. Because staying in a situation that you're miserable, you know where the road goes to. You know there is no solution there. I wish I could give you better advice or be more happy about it, but I've met many friends in similar situations. I know, but okay, it's unknown. What you know is shit. How bad is the unknown? I mean, you were saying before about being happy about being alive and being here and everything. I've been deployed in Afghanistan. I've been in shitty places before. I know how people live in some places. Yeah, we're very lucky to be here and to be in the situations we are. And it's true. We all get used to a certain way of living and a certain situation, and you're afraid of changes. But how bad that change can be? It's worth a try. In my opinion, it's worth a try. That's my story.
Yeah, and I've been in recovery since mid 2012, and this year I'm spending on improving my health. And I didn't know so much about narcissism before, so I thought of it more like me being an idiot. And I read old classic texts like Adam Smith, and there I got the idea that the kind of idiot I am is a village idiot. So I can be smart, but I'm too submissive. So I've worked to change that, so I compensate for it. So when I go meet someone, I make sure that I don't get to the meeting point more than 15 minutes early. Things like that. And at work I went into the union, but it was rotten, so because I wanted to help my workmates, I got in a pinch between the employer and the union. So, but at least that in 2012 I got out. And in relationships, I left one that was bad a year ago. And I'm proud of how I did it, because it was, I think it was something like narcissistic abuse, but maybe it was just because I was inviting it. And so it was in a period when I had been frozen out, so she wouldn't talk with me. And then when she contacted me again, I texted back that said, "Thank you, I couldn't have done it without you." And that was it. So no drama. That's was great. So I'm recovering quickly now. Yeah, and I grew up in a wealthy family, reasonably wealthy. Like my grandmother came and gave me champagne for my first New Year's Eve, even though I wasn't 1 year old. Things like that. And my godfather was doing charity work with the king and things like that. So, yeah.
All right, I'm from the States. I just turned 30. A lot like someone else here mentioned, I love women, and I don't like how the interactions tend to go, especially in the States. I live in the New York City metropolitan area. So I'm trying to find a way that I like how the relationships work out. And it's really difficult, at least in my experience, with the women that I've run into. A big part of my coming here was also just seeing, definitely the guys I knew that would be here would be like-minded and open and come with the intention of being sincere. So I'm really pleased with that. It's been great so far. And part of it's also just me trying to, now that I'm 30, I'm kind of planning the rest of my, not to say the rest of my life, but trying to get out of my job. I have a comfortable living, but it's not what I want. It's what my family wants for me, but it's not what I want. And it's good for me to spend time around guys that have things that I want, the ability to travel around and live where they want and do what they want, where that's in a way not acceptable in my family. You're supposed to do what's good for the family, which I appreciate. I love my family, but at the end of the day, it's really not, they'll say it's the best thing for me, and I don't know, maybe it is. I have no fucking clue, but yeah, man, I'm just really enjoying, back in New York it's 5 degrees or whatever, and here it's, nice. So I'm happier wearing shorts and a t-shirt than all those layers of clothes for sure. And yeah, so I'm just chasing something that'll make me happy. And sometimes that means hard work also, and I'm just trying to figure out what the next steps are for me, both in terms of like my life and career choices, and also in terms of my relationships with women. So
back again for trip number 3. I never really had much time for women. I mean, I had girlfriends over the years or whatever, but it was never a thing for me. I tell people I was born MGTOW because essentially I was, but obviously the label didn't exist at that point. But yeah, no, I'm here mostly for, I think MGTOW is a path forward for a lot of things. I've talked to a lot of people about it here, about just our loss of rites of passage and productive paths for guys who don't see marriage as their thing. And I think that those paths have existed in history, like through monkhoods and stuff like that, and it doesn't exist anymore. And I think we need to do, with women invading male spaces more and more and more, I think we need to regain our male spaces and regain this brotherhood that's almost been forbidden, for boys to be together and be boys. And, that's a swear word now, for us to just hang out and do guy stuff together. And the women want to invade everything, and they want to be everywhere where we are, And I think that that's a tragedy, and I think it's something we need to reverse. And I think MGTOW is a path forward for that on a lot of ways. But that's just how, I guess, I kind of think things. So I'm just here because I love being here. I love meeting the people. And I spent my whole life being different, being a guy that just wouldn't take the path that everybody said I should take. This is what you need to do, and this is what... And I'd try it and be like, I don't know why everybody's doing this. This is really dumb. Like, I'm not doing that. And so I was always different. And I always felt like I was the only one. And then when I heard about MGTOW and I looked into it, I'm like, oh, that is me. And there's other guys like me. And so maybe I'm not crazy, you know? And it was a big help for me. But I can speak to, like, kind of your situation, because my mom was young. My dad was too. He was only a couple of years older, but she was 17 when she got pregnant with me. Coming from a Catholic background, you know, of course, they got married. And
I'm number 5 out of 6.
yeah, so they got married because of me, and then stayed together because of, you know, I had 2 brothers, and they stayed together because of us, because that was, you know, what you did. But they were miserable the entire time, constantly arguing every day, yelling, screaming at each other. And that's probably a big part of why I just had no time for women. Like when I came from a big Italian family, and it was like, you're going to have kids. That's what you do, you know? And so I tried dating and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know why guys put up with this. This is crazy. They're batshit. Like, they want too much and they don't bring anything to the table. They bring absolutely nothing to the table except for the ability to produce children. That's it. Like, there's nothing else they have that does me any fucking good. And they want everything from me. Everything I can give plus 10%. And I just don't. I never saw why guys continued to date and get married, and I would watch what my friends would go through. And then when I got into the working world, you know, in the trades, you're immediately at 18, if you're in a trade, you're immediately working with guys that are twice your age. And so, you know, you sit around and you have lunch and coffee and you're talking and you hear all the horror stories. It's like, why do young guys come in here, hear how terrible it is, and then go run into the slaughter? Like, it never made sense to me. And so I've been monk mode for almost 15 years this stretch, but I've pretty much been monk mode most of my adult life. I mean, there were years in between girlfriends and stuff, so I just never really had the time or the patience for women. But I'm really here more for the brotherhood and for just because I think this is something really important.
That story with your grandfather's interesting, the Sicilian family and stuff. You want to say that? Because like the pressure you felt, you know, that's something a lot of people can relate to. You know?
Oh yeah, so I was the oldest grandchildren of a shit ton of us. There was it was just shy of 30. I'd have to count to give you the exact number, but there was a lot of us, and I was the oldest, and I was a male. So I'm the oldest male grandson in an Italian Catholic family where my grandfather had a shit ton of kids, and there was an enormous amount of pressure on me to get married and have kids. Like, that was, it was relentless. There was no end to it. It was just, that's what you're going to do. And I would argue with him. He's like, this is what, like, you're going to grow up, you're going to have kids.
On the family name.
That's it. This is what we do. Like,
You are the eldest one.
Right.
I have 3 sisters. So being the only male, yeah, you have to get married. And
you got to, like, this is what you do. And I was to be the example for all the ones to come after me. Like, you see, this is what he did, this is what we all do. So the pressure was on me. Like, you got to get married and have kids so that all these other kids fall in line, so they do their thing. So they make me grandbabies. Like, that's your job. Or great-grandbabies, you know? And so, yeah, I had a lot of pressure on me. And me and my grandfather, we butted. He was very, very alpha. And I was not competitive at all. And him and we'd butt heads a lot. Like, a lot. Because he was, I mean, I lived in the same town with him. They had a pool, and so I'd spend my entire summers over there. Like, I was really close to my whole entire family. I mean, to this day, I still live on the same block with them where my grandparents lived, with all my cousins and everyone. Not all, a lot of my cousins. And, you know, so I saw them all the time. It wasn't like we were distant or anything, but we were just butting heads all the time, constantly butting heads. Because I wouldn't fall in line, you know. And then even after that, like, my dad would say, I never wanted kids, I wanted grandkids. You guys were a means to an end. Like, that was his line, like, would be hammered. I want grandkids. Like, that's why you're here. And at one point in time, and I was telling this to one of the other guys, like, I was in my mid to late 30s at one point in time, and I just had to set my dad straight because he had moved out of state. And so I just quit going to see him. And then he complained why he never saw me. And then I'd go over there to see him, and then he'd ride my case. And I was like, listen, you know, I love you, Dad. You're my dad, and I don't want to have a strained relationship with you, but I haven't been coming here because every time I come here, you rag on me about how I'm not living my life the way you think I should. Like, well, I don't want my life to turn out like your life did. Like, your life was fine for you. It doesn't work for me. Like, I'm not going to live that way. I'm not going to have kids. And if that's a problem for you, like, I get it. Like, you had kids to have grandkids. I totally understand that, and I can appreciate it, but I'm not gonna. And, I mean, that's that. So how do we continue forward? If you want to have a relationship with me, you're going to have to quit telling me how I'm living my life wrong. Otherwise, I'm just not going to come around. Like, I'll come around once or twice a year, and just to figure out that you're going to rag on me again, telling me how I'm not living my life the way you think I should, and then I'll disappear for 6 months or a year, and then I'll come around again, and you'll rag, and that'll be our relationship. Is that what you want? Because if you want to see me more often, then you're just going to have to treat me better, and that's that. Like, I don't hate you, I'm not angry at you, but I'm not going to open myself up to abuse. You know, I love you, and that's it. And so I had to, like, set the parameters of my relationship with my father. So, I mean, I had to do a similar thing with my mom, but not because of the having kids thing. My mom's very supportive of me going off and finding myself and whatnot. It was a different situation with her, but, you know, in both of them I had to say, because her and I just don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, and many years ago I had to say, here's the boundaries. Like, here's where we can have a relationship, and outside here is where we're going to butt heads. So, like, if you want to be screaming at each other and have me leave and not see me for a month or two, then keep going here. And if you want to have this relationship, then don't go over there, you know. So, but yeah, no, I don't have any of the typical, like, MGTOW stories about whatever. I think some people find some of my stories interesting sometimes, and I think it's more just because I do things different, and it's, like, not the standard. So I think for a lot of people it's just interesting because most people don't do it my way. But that's about it. I don't think I got anything else, really.
That's cool. That's awesome. Fuck. Yeah. It's interesting listening to you guys talk. I made me think about looking different perspective. You know, like, I never had any pressure to have kids from anybody because my sister had kids, my brother had 3 kids, my sister's got 2 kids. You know, there was plenty of kids, and yeah, there wasn't that pressure. I never had that pressure. I mean, there probably was a little bit, but it didn't mess with me at all. But, and let's see, the other thing, yeah, I was just, I had so many thoughts. You guys were talking. It's almost hard to remember everything, you know, like everything everybody was saying. I think one thing is, like, everybody is very different here. I think that's, and every time this is the 3rd one, right? You've been to 3 of them, yeah? Bill's been to all 3. Like, everyone has been very, very different flavor. Would you agree?
Yes, extremely.
It's just completely different. So you just cannot predict. Each one's going to be a completely different thing. It's almost like a different convention, you know?
Oh, it totally is.
Yeah. And I like it that way because it's just like everybody just is themselves, and then it becomes what it becomes, right? You know, I like that. The other thing I really like is, well, it came out of I think it came out of the fact that what everybody said is, like, men don't really, but a lot of people will say, you know, men have the right to express themselves and everything. But I just don't see that. That's why I don't use my name and face, because I know you can't. The things I share, you can't. And there's a lot of reasons why you can't. Like, so that's what's so cool about the internet is actually driving men underground is what's making this thing kind of like this whatever we have here is flourishing because we found a way to make it happen. It's almost like we're growing vegetables underground or something, you know. It's like we got a lamp under there. We're growing some vegetables. We're getting some shit going, and no one can fuck with it, you know. Because it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, because it's like you couldn't do it above ground, and then we figured out another way that nobody would have thought of, and it works even better because you can actually share more freely, right? Mm-hmm. You know, so like that's what's so cool about it. And then when I know that there's nothing like this. There's the MGTOW gatherings, right? So like when I did the first one, I remember everybody said, I don't know if you guys remember the comments online. I don't know if you read any of them, but they were like, everyone's going to get doxxed. It's going to be a nightmare. In fact, this happens every time I announce it.
It happened to me. It happened to me just before I left. I was on Happy Humble Hermits Discord because somebody last year when they found out it was here, they're like, "Oh, you should have reported in from there." And I was like, "Okay, well next year I will." And so then I got here this year, or like before I left, I said, "Hey, I'm heading out in a couple hours. I'll be in Thailand in 24 hours. So I'm just letting you guys know. I'll check in once I get there." And everybody's like, "Oh, you're going to the MGTOW conference? Oh, it's a scam. Oh, they're going to dox you. Don't do it." And I said, "This is my 3rd one. Like the first 2 went don't." I've been here. You're throwing out all this fear-mongering shit. You don't even know what you're talking about. You've never been there. I have, and you're trying to scare me out of going. Like, just, like, why are, like, if you don't want to go, don't go. I get it. Like, But why are you trying to shame other people into not going? Like, ask questions about it. Like, that seems like a scam or something to me. But no, they're like definitively telling me it's a scam. They're going to dox you. Don't go. When I've been here 3 times, and I know what the deal is. Like, and they know that I've been here because I'm telling them I was at the last 2, and then they say, "Oh, don't go. They're going to dox you." It's like, do you even think before you open your mouth?
Yeah. Oh.
Most people don't.
No, not necessary. You know, the fear is enough. You know. Yeah, everybody told me that too, everybody's like, this is the worst idea. Like when I started this thing, because I have other businesses, right, like everyone's like this, like what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing? Like this is going to ruin everything, And it's turned out to me, it's turned out to be the best thing one of the best things I've done in years, And the reason why it's been good for me, I've never really talked about, but what has been really cool for me, which I didn't realize, but like that garden underground concept is, and I don't know if you guys are going to really, I've never said this, I've never communicated, so I don't know if I can really explain, but basically, human beings until now we were in a body, right? So when you meet people, you always get a first impression based on your human body, right? And what's really unusual about everybody here is nobody saw me before you came. And so I'm pretty sure if we would have met first, you would have had some idea about me as soon as you saw me. Just like I would have had an idea about you. You're like this. Oh, you've always been healthy. I say you went through all that hormones for 20 years. When I first saw you, I thought this guy's super athletic, probably a boxer. He's probably very alpha type dude, always has been. That would be my impression of you, I see the gray hair a little bit. I'm like, yeah, he's still like tattooed up. He's like, this guy is very masculine. And then you say for 20 years, your hormones were fucked up. It's like, that's your shoes, right? No one can see those when they see you. And no one can see my shoes, But when I share my stories, you guys listen to my stories and you didn't see me. You just heard the stories, And I think that's the difference is that because we were forced to go underground, we were just forced to share stories, and then that brings us together, right? Whereas I didn't know what anybody looked like until a lot of you guys until today,
What does it say about our society that what we're doing here is such a big, huge problem that everybody wants to attack it? The guys getting together to share their stories and hang out and share a brotherhood and just seek healing and personal growth. That is this big, huge problem.
There's a lot of people who've been under some really bad situations, like the narcissist abuse thing is no fucking joke. Getting left to die alone and you're just so confused, like this is your lover, this is your friend, and women are caring, and like you're just sitting there. And I'm not saying all women are like this either. I'm just saying that this happens to men, and they have they're nobody to talk to, and there's no system for listening to men, like basically, right? So even if you call an abuse hotline, you're going to get arrested, right? You will get arrested, because that is the cops' prerogative, is take the man away. Even if it's your house and you're getting beaten up and you're bloody and you're calling and all you are doing blocking the frying pan, you're going to go to jail, right? Until you prove yourself innocent, if you can, And so it's like, I don't mean that that's like common or anything, or like this is the big issue women have, but these kind of things are serious. These people are underestimating the power of random attacks. Like if you look at a violent area, there could be just a couple of violent murders, and everybody buys locks. Everybody stops going out at night. It affects society big time. Just because a couple of violent murders, right? Men are going through stuff that everybody is ignoring. There's like violent murders happening to men, and men are like, what the fuck? This is scary. I don't like this, even if it wasn't them, right? And like, and then society's like, basically, then you're a piñata to get attacked. And this is what I realized, like talking to guys, is there's a lot of guys, and not all guys, there's all kinds of guys that call me. Like some guys are super fucking successful, like insanely successful in every way. And what they want is like, they want more freedom, and they want like, basically their society's like below is down here. And then there's like guys like Richard Branson, and they're thinking like, I want a new model to really enjoy life, like with all the biotech and all the shit that's going on. And there's all kinds of guys in this movement, like trust me, there's like an insane amount of guys, but everybody's like, this isn't working, like this this whatever I was taught is not fucking working anymore. Like I don't want this. Or they get into marriage and it's just like, you know, kind of living hell. And who do you talk to? You know, who do you talk to? Like really, who the fuck do you talk to? There's certain things in life that you have to actually work on right now, actively, you know, like not complain about them, but you actually have to work on them. You have to do exercise. You have to write stuff. You have to inner search. You have to like put everything on hold for like 6 months and just focus. And then you can get over it. It's like totally get overable, you know? So I found like not just ways of living, but like ways to improve yourself. They don't work either. Tony Robbins, you know? Tony Robbins. You know, like you go to one of these kind of guys, like, does anybody there, is there going to relate to me? You know, like, am I going to be able to really get it? No. Because it's hard to explain, but they just all have the same mindset. They're all society people. They're all like, you know, like they just don't, they live in suburbia, you know? I don't live in suburbia. You know, I live on Soy 11. You know, it's a different scene there. and then next month I might be in Jakarta, you know?
It almost seems like they're trying to bring you back. All these, like, I've gone through so many things, you know?
Yeah,
it's kind of like,
bring you back.
Yeah, get back here on the track if you wanna, basically, you know, like, I mean, you're looking for help. They don't tailor to your personality. They're basically tailoring to society. So, hang on, you can't be an individual. You can't want what you want. But if you want this, we'll show you how to do this. And this is the way. And it almost like feels like everyone that is going there or to seek help, it's almost like, hey, can you please help me to get back on track again? You know, it's like,
back to the track.
Back to the track. It's like they're not helping you. Oh, hang on, you don't need to get back on the track. You need to nurture your individualism. No one says that. I mean, like, I have friends that are psychologists. They're actually more fucked up than anyone that I know. You know, and it's kind of like, what the fuck, you know? I tell you, this is what, for me, in a nutshell, here's what it is to me. This was exactly it. You were saying, I just reminded me. It was like, all right, fucker, you avoided society for all these fucking years. Now you're fucked. Okay? It didn't work. You know? Now you have to submit. This is it. You got to submit now. Because, you know, they like, it's like weakness. They see some kind of weakness and then they're like, okay, now is our opportunity. You know, this guy's been resisting and we're going to take him down now. He's coming into society, you know? And it's like, and I was like, I'm not a rebel. Like, I'm not a rebellious person. Like I was when I was 13, but that's what people mistake me for. I'm just not interested in what they're interested in. It's like you were saying, you see the folly in it. It's not, I'm not rebelling against anything. I just don't want to do dumb things that don't work. Like trying to catch fish with my hands. Like, I just don't see much a future there, you know? Like, my hands are not fast enough, you know? So I got to do something else, you know? So it's like, so and when you have a weakness, then it's like, it's like now the society's just, they're just waiting for a chance to fucking, you know, like. The funny thing is you actually pay big money for it too.
Oh, you pay huge money for it.
And you leave again, give it a little bit of time, you got to return. So what do I do now? You're not taught how to defend yourself. Then you're not, I mean, like, about a specific, you are told to defend yourself about a specific problem, but that's again in line with the assembly track. Like, you know, okay, this is how you do it. It's not like, look, you need to protect yourself pretty much from everything. You know, like, I mean, give things a chance, learn or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of like, actually, why do I walk away, give it a little bit of time? I actually feel a little bit more screwed up now than I should be. Like, you know, because I keep on trying this thing and it's not fucking working for me, you know? Where do I look for information? And the funny thing is, spend a little bit of time. Don't spend too much money. And you will find it. Just be persistent and trust your gut feeling and have a mind with a critical thinking as well, you know?
Yeah. You need...
sorry.
I mean, just the same way that you said we have to, I guess there's these psychologists out there that want you to be on track, and they put you in a situation where you end up having to come back, I guess, to stay on that track. It's maintenance. Like, you got to keep getting that fix to keep in society. But the same way that living on the track, you kind of need to maintain that, we also need to, or I feel like maybe we need to maintain our ability to stay out of that track that society tries to put us on. And I think it's just beneficial to be the best you can be.
How you find help is by trying stuff, and just when you find something that works, just believe it. You have to hold on to it because no one else is going to believe it. Like, later research might come out and prove it, but meanwhile you've moved on and you got decades of success or whatever you're doing. Like, society just is not going to catch up with you. Just find stuff, hang out with smart guys, take shit seriously, try it. Don't assume that people... I would say anytime you think somebody is whatever, they're good at yoga, they're good at fucking business, they're good at art, they're good at science, do not assume they're gifted. I would say you want to assume that they... you want to find out how they did it, basically. Like what did you do to build an art business? Like, how did you think? Yeah. Like, how did you think about creative things? You know, like, that's what I want to know as the weekend goes. I want to, like, did you sit on the toilet and take mushrooms, or what did you like draw other art through a clear paper to get used to drawing, or, you know, like, what creative things did you do to do it? But that's my question. Yeah, I don't assume, oh, he's good at art, right? He like, you know, so like, oh, you must be gifted, right? I don't fit, and I don't really care about fitting, so it's like I need to. That's why I want to get as much as I can from. That's why I wanted to attract you guys, basically, because other guys who had the same kind of mindset. Because the average person basically hates you. You know, they're like, "What did you do in your life?" Well, fuck girls in my 20s, or traveled in my teens and 20s, and fuck girls. Then my 30s, fuck girls, made money. 40s, fuck girls, started a business in China. They're like, what? So either way, fucking awesome, guys. Let's go get some fucking lunch. Thank you very much for everybody for sharing. Yeah.